how the New York Times actively vouched for the veracity of its false narrative.
We actually want all evidence to come out that's proper and appropriate evidence.
So everything is falling down for you guys because people perceive you as bullies.
Blake Lively's lawyer just quit this mess because even he couldn't take the embarrassment anymore. Justin Baldoni's lawyer dropped insane evidence so brutal, it made Blake's legal team rethink all their life choices.
We actually want all evidence to come out that's proper and appropriate evidence.
1 minute Blake's out here playing the victim, the next her own defense jumps ship faster than you can say courtroom disaster. And trust me, when your own lawyer is done with you, you know it's game over.
It's gonna have to be a full-blown, I am sorry, I lied, I am a terrible person, tail in between the legs, and that's what we deserve.
Imagine filing the most ridiculous lawsuit of your life, making wild accusations, calling yourself the victim, spinning the media to paint yourself like some fragile damsel, and boom, your own lawyer says, yeah, no thanks, I'm out. Blake's lawyer, Merle Conant, literally quit after Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, dropped an opposition so brutal, even the PR machine couldn't clean it up. And let's be real, nobody blames Conant for jumping ship. Blake's case was already a sinking Titanic, and Conant wasn't about to go down with it.
So I just kind of had her down to a prototype and said, I'm gonna pump the brakes and see what happens. And then when Brian Friedman came back with the facts, they were just undeniable. You know, it was undeniable.
And here's the kicker. The chaos really exploded when Baldoni's team casually rolled out 170 pages of straight-up receipts. Like, not a few texts, not a he said, she said. No, a full-on 170-page document filled with emails, messages, and facts that basically shredded every single word Blake threw out there.
Then they publish 170 pages of perfectly documented texts and emails between all the parties that basically show Blake to be the aggressor. Here's the proof.
Every claim she made, gone, vanished, torn apart piece by piece. And watching her team scramble after that, priceless.
That's the whole point of a lawsuit, is you just start with allegations, and allegations are not evidence. They're just statements of fact that help establish this is the claim that I'm bringing.
Now Blake's PR team, oh, they're on life support. You can practically hear the panic in their offices. The same team that was out here cozying up with the media, crafting perfect headlines to make her look like Hollywood's biggest victim, yeah, they're losing control fast.
You guys were complicit here. You guys were involved in this every step of the way.
Those puff pieces stopped rolling out the minute the truth started surfacing. Mainstream media, radio silence. Even the insiders in Hollywood are warning her, straight up, you're done. They're watching Blake spiral, and no one's stepping in to save her.
It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
$650 million worth of lawsuits looming over Blake like a wrecking ball. And the funniest part? Her own team finally realizes she has zero chance to win.
Most people cannot afford, even if he was worth a certain amount, cannot afford $100 million. And then when you attach penalties and you add interest and all of these things, it is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare for them.
Which brings us right to Merle Conant, the lawyer who probably woke up one morning, looked at all the mess, and thought, yeah, I'm not about to ruin my career defending this circus. And can you blame her? Because from the start, this lawsuit wasn't built on facts. It was built on, and I quote, smoke and mirrors.
And I knew a bit about her. I knew how she grew up. I knew that she kind of was one of these people. What tends to be the case is that when you grow up with everything, you create things out of nothing because you're looking for struggle in your life and you're used to getting whatever it is that you want.
No credible proof of harassment, no documents proving body shaming, not a single receipt about breastfeeding issues, just loud dramatic claims with nothing solid to back it up. Basically, it's like Blake pulled a script straight out of her Gossip Girl days and forgot real life requires evidence. Brian Friedman didn't just casually file his opposition, he buried Blake's entire case under legal facts. He exposed how Blake's team didn't rely on any actual proof. They were relying on PR, media headlines, and some desperate sob story.
I looked through every document, every email, every text message.
And when the other side comes in swinging with hard facts, well, the lawyer saw the writing on the wall. Quitting was the only way to save herself before she sank with Blake's wreck. But that's not even the juiciest part. Let's talk about how Blake's PR team thought they could pull off the ultimate magic trick.
and how this filing is pure comedy and insanity. It literally contradicts itself, and it's not even admissible because of certain things that are in there.
Remember that infamous December 2024 article from the New York Times? Yeah, Blake's PR team pushed that narrative like their careers depended on it. They used the Times to frame Baldoni as the villain, playing the classic Hollywood victim card. But fast forward, guess what? That strategy didn't age well. Baldoni's team dismantled the entire narrative, showing how the media played right into Blake's hands without fact-checking a damn thing.
Everything, and it really was quite horrific because you just go, what kind of a monster even goes through with this CRD filing? Like, they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit.
Now, the same PR team that thought they had the upper hand is stuck in panic mode. Oh, and if you thought they were just spin doctors, think again. PR manager Leslie Sloan, the woman behind Blake's image, is also named in Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit.
As we know, Justin Baldoni is suing him, Blake Lively, and their PR person, Leslie Sloan, for $400 million.
Yes, the very team hired to save Blake's public image is now a legal liability themselves. I mean, how bad do you have to mess up that your PR team becomes part of the lawsuit? And here's where it gets even better. With discovery underway, the PR team's dirty laundry is at serious risk of spilling out. Confidential texts, shady backroom conversations, all those carefully crafted media campaigns. They're all sitting there, waiting to be exposed. Baldoni's team isn't playing nice anymore. They're dropping receipts. And Blake's team? They can't stop it. The more they try to contain it, the more it blows up in their faces.
But it looks as though she's a narcissist, like an actual diagnosed narcissist.
What's hilarious is how they spent all their time controlling the media narrative, thinking they were untouchable. But guess what? Courts don't care about PR spins. They care about cold, hard evidence. And right now, Blake's got none. Her lawyer knows it, her PR team knows it, Hollywood knows it, and the public sure as hell knows it. All that's left is Blake, standing there, watching every piece of her fake story fall apart.
I do not believe Blake Lively is that, but again, you can clearly see, in my opinion, the narcissism at bare minimum that's going on with her.
And can we take a second to talk about how everyone, and I mean everyone, is putting sense into Blake now? Her lawyer bailed. The media's gone quiet. Insiders are whispering that she's cooked. Even her PR team looks like they're ready to quit and switch careers. But Blake? She's still pretending like she's got a shot. At this point, the only person who believes Blake has a chance is Blake herself. And that's the saddest part.
Yeah, and again, at the same time, Nathan assembled a team that could dominate social media through full social account takedowns by starting threads of theories and,
Hold that thought.
here we go, generally working to change the narrative. So it's impossible to know how much they planted and how much of it originated organically. Well, wait a minute.
She's out here clinging to this lawsuit like it's some last-ditch power move, when in reality, it's the anchor dragging her down. Hollywood doesn't have time for someone who tried to play the system, got caught, and now wants to play victim when the plan backfires.
You know, where this money is. This isn't like who has the cash for this type of lawsuit.
And let's not forget, this whole disaster didn't happen overnight. It took Blake's team months of media manipulation, desperate PR stunts, and bad legal advice to get here. But the second Brian Friedman pulled the receipts, the whole thing imploded.
Every uncomfortable moment we felt, well, now they could do the same thing. You know, but
Right.
Brian Friedman could say, here, exactly. Okay, you want to do a settlement? Here it is. We're going to write, you are sick people who tried to take over my movie and crush a little peanut like me just because I'm a man bun wearing, soft, beautiful soul.
Blake Lively thought she had the media wrapped around her perfectly manicured little finger, didn't she? For a hot second, it actually worked. That big shiny New York Times article titled "We Can Bury Anyone" had her floating on clouds, thinking she was untouchable. The piece basically kissed her feet, framing every one of her wild accusations against Justin Baldoni like they were gospel truth. I mean, the NYT might as well have stamped it, certified Blake Lively victimhood. But too bad for Blake, that fairy tale crumbled real fast.
Thin-skinned outrage, essentially, over us bullying you. That doesn't make you look good on paper. It doesn't make you look good in the court of public opinion. It makes you look like what you actually are, which are a bunch of bullies who think can get away with everything.
Because Brian Friedman didn't come to play. His legal response didn't just poke holes in the Times' little article. It ripped it to absolute shreds. Straight up accused the NYT of violating fair report privilege, which in normal words means the Times crossed the line from reporting to straight up promoting Blake's fake story. Instead of just saying, Blake Lively alleges XYZ, They framed it like they had done some deep, investigative digging, confirming every bit of her nonsense. Problem? They had zero proof to back it up. Friedman called them out for packaging Blake's lies like facts, and honestly, it's poetic justice.
They used to replace what his name is, Brian Tyler, the composer on the movie. Well, Taylor Swift is not going to give you this unless we get what we want. She wants this credit. She wants this credit. She wants her edits.
And now, media outlets are scrambling. They're terrified they'll be the next ones dragged into this lawsuit mess. Judge Lyman even hinted at dismissing the NYT entirely from the case, signaling that their journalistic masterpiece might just be garbage. Remember, the New York Times was Blake's safety net, her PR weapon, her ace card. But now it's hanging by a thread, one ruling away from completely collapsing and leaving her exposed to fend for herself. No fancy headlines, no sympathetic puff pieces, just cold, hard courtroom reality.
Look, there's a lot of factual determinations that need to be made here, not legal determinations. And because there's factual determinations, you got to leave it to the jury. You got to give a jury the property.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're just saying, look, just let the facts decide. And the trier of fact in any case is going to be the jury. Unless it's a bench trial, then it's a judge. But this is not. This is a jury trial.
Even Lady C and half of Hollywood's critics are done pretending. They've dragged Blake and the Times for trampling over journalistic ethics. It's one thing to run a PR machine, but it's a whole other level of messy when you weaponize one of the most influential newspapers to push your fake victim narrative.
You're making a factual assertion that these people did something, seizing on it and amplifying it.
And Lady C didn't hold back. She basically called out the entire media circus for being Blake's personal propaganda outlet. Now that Friedman's bombshell has dismantled the NYT's role, Blake's media shield has completely evaporated. She thought she could bury Baldoni, but all she did was bury herself.
There's 5 other claims. He's got extortion, he's got false light, and everything immediately falls apart there. But I'm saying even that was ill-advisable. I would not have said, quote unquote, hurt feelings and saying, like, they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit.
But wait, it gets even better. Just when you think Blake's legal team couldn't screw up any harder, her new lawyer decides to casually throw her under the bus. In court filings, her own lawyer admitted, Blake Lively has profound mental health issues.
Blake Lively fears profound mental health issues are at risk of being leaked amid Justin Baldoni legal drama.
Yeah, you heard that right. Her own defense accidentally let the cat out of the bag. Instead of defending her case, they've practically diagnosed her in public. And honestly, no one's surprised at this point.
It's just almost unbelievable that her lawyer would file this. I don't understand why he would put this out there. It's just very bizarre. There's a lot of things that he could have talked about.
So now Blake's team is begging the court for an attorney's eyes only protective order. Why? Because they're desperate to hide all the juicy, damaging details, especially the ones about her mental health and personal security. I mean, if everything's so innocent, why the panic to keep things sealed tight?
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are moving to protect their text messages and sensitive data amid their legal battle with Justin Baldoni. The couple has filed a request to keep their texts with high-profile people confidential.
Oh, right. Because those mental health struggles might explain why Blake's been acting like a complete disaster. Paranoid, desperate for control, cooking up wild stories, spinning the media into her personal defense team.
But to reveal that your client has profound mental health issues is very alarming because, we all have mental health things.
It's giving serious Amber Heard energy. People are already speculating. Narcissism, personality disorders, textbook manipulative behavior. You don't have to be a psychologist to notice the pattern.
And now let me just say this. Having a mental health disorder does not excuse you in any way from what you're doing. And in fact, I personally believe that Ryan Reynolds is not only a narcissist, but I believe he is a psychopath. Now,
Blake's whole victim routine reeks of someone spiraling, grasping at straws while her empire collapses. And even Judge Lyman seems to be side-eyeing all these protective order requests. Like, are they genuinely trying to protect sensitive info, or just scrambling to hide all the skeletons in Blake's closet before discovery blows them wide open?
Is Blake Lively diagnosed with something that could actually affect this case and actually explain why she's the way she is? And when I say mental health, we're not talking about like, something that is really serious.
But hold tight, because the cherry on top of Blake's public meltdown, Her marriage to Ryan Reynolds is straight up circling the drain. Multiple verified sources, real ones, not some tabloid nonsense, confirm these two aren't even living together anymore.
I found out how much Ryan Reynolds is worth, and he cannot afford this lawsuit.
Separate households, separate lives, and all those cute red carpet appearances? Yeah, total PR smoke and mirrors. According to US Weekly, insiders spilled that Blake and Ryan have good days and bad days. Translation: the cracks are showing, and it's getting ugly behind closed doors.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's what we see, but I do have to say that the arguments in this opposition were really good.
Think about it. This lawsuit isn't just tanking Blake's career, it's dragging Ryan down with her. Hollywood insiders are whispering the big D word, divorce. And honestly, it wouldn't be shocking.
Inside Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' relationship amid their legal battle. Good days and bad days. Are these two headed for divorce?
The man's out here filing laughable motions to dismiss, publicly backing a lawsuit that's been exposed as one big joke, while their reputations crumble. You can practically feel the tension every time they try to fake unity for the cameras. It's so forced, you'd need a chisel to cut through the awkwardness.
Well, what could be ruined? You know, you might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud.
Oh, and if you think it's just the media turning cold, check Blake's personal circle. Her once rock-solid friendships falling apart faster than her legal case. Her bestie, Taylor Swift, distancing herself. That friendship strained beyond repair thanks to Blake dragging Taylor's name into this circus. Remember when Blake tried to weaponize Taylor to pressure Baldoni on set? Yeah, well, turns out Taylor isn't thrilled about being dragged into Blake's self-inflicted disaster.
They've got you on this extortion. His argument is so weak. He's basically saying, well, I didn't receive any money. And it's like, buddy, extortion is a lot bigger than that.
And let's not forget Anna Kendrick. She and Blake reunited recently for their movie promo, but the energy? Awkward city. Anna couldn't even pretend to enjoy being near her. Every interview, Anna's basically answering in the bare minimum while Blake tries to keep up the facade. Everyone around Blake is either walking away or barely tolerating her. She's burning bridges faster than she can build them.
With that question, I really do think she's just a spoiled brat. Like, it just goes down to something that simple. She's a spoiled brat, and she's used to getting what she wants from the time that she was a kid. And this is what she wanted, and I do think that people have not pieced together.
At this point, her entire world is one big ticking time bomb. Lawsuit stress, PR disasters, legal defeats, media backlash, mental health exposure, and now a marriage collapse brewing in real time. Blake wanted control so badly she manipulated the media, pulled every string, and tried to play the ultimate victim. But instead, she's watching every piece of her perfect image blow up in her face, and nobody's sticking around to catch her when she falls.
I believe this is probably related to personality disorders. A lot of people have pointed out that Blake Lively, there's a lot of experts that are reading it, and of course no one can give a diagnosis, but it looks as though she's a narcissist. Like,
Ryan Reynolds might be smiling on camera, but behind the scenes, he's got a lawsuit dragging him for $400 million. Public sympathy at zero, his marriage on thin ice, and no way out. The only thing Blake Lively's lawsuit has achieved is turning her entire life, career, marriage, and media image into a colossal train wreck. And it's only getting worse.
There's going to be a lot stronger defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds.
And now, let's get to the part that's making Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds sweat bullets. The money. Oh yeah, the cold hard cash. Because if you thought the public humiliation, lawyer quitting, media turning, and marriage cracking were bad enough, the financial wreckage that's about to hit them is an absolute masterpiece. Justin Baldoni's not playing around. The man slapped them with a $400 million lawsuit.
In terms of how you're presenting yourself to the public and who you are in private.
And just when you think, well, maybe they can cough that up, guess what? There's another $250 million lawsuit tacked on, targeting the New York Times, but indirectly dragging them in too. So now we're looking at a lovely little sum of $650 million floating over their heads like a financial nuke. Plus, court fees, legal penalties, damages, and interest stacking up like a bad loan.
And so this filing to dismiss is essentially him saying, like, nah, boo-boo, on the defamation claim, you can't touch me because it's satire.
Here's the real kicker. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively love flexing their richest couple in Hollywood narrative, parading themselves like they're swimming in billions.
Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire or close to a billionaire. But according to several reports, he is not. And this all ties back into his soccer club.
But when you peek behind the curtain, surprise, Ryan's net worth is sitting somewhere between $350 to $400 million. And Blake, let's just say her career's been so stagnant, it's basically on life support. Most of Ryan's money isn't even liquid.
I personally believe that Ryan Reynolds is not only a narcissist, but I believe he is a psychopath.
It's all tied up in things like his Wrexham Football Club, which, by the way, isn't exactly raking in Premier League money yet, and future royalties from Deadpool. Translation: he doesn't have a $400 million check lying around ready to hand over. Blake, meanwhile, couldn't pay for a fraction of the damages if she sold every dress and handbag she's ever posed in.
Their combined net worth of around 400 million may not be enough to sustain the club at this level. Their combined net worth is what Justin Baldoni is just suing Ryan Reynolds.
The cherry on top? Their PR machine worked overtime, convincing the world they were basically billionaires, untouchable, unbothered, cash flowing from every direction. But the deeper everyone looks, the clearer it gets. They cannot afford to lose this case. Not even close. Court fees, fines, legal costs, media cleanup, and the irreversible damage to their image? It's a financial death spiral, and Blake's not booking A-list projects anytime soon after this PR mess. So, future earnings? Yeah, bleak is an understatement. They bet everything on this fake narrative, and now they're about to lose it all.
Their reputations are ruined. Who is going to want to work with them, especially as more and more comes out, especially as discovery comes out and depositions? To me, their careers are over.
But don't worry, it gets even uglier. See, once upon a time, Blake and Ryan strutted around Hollywood like king and queen, untouchable, with the whole industry bending over backward to praise them. Not anymore. Hollywood has turned its back, and the silence is deafening. Industry insiders are backing away, like their careers depend on it, because, well, they do. No one wants to be associated with a sinking ship, and Blake Lively's name is now a PR hazard zone.
Reynolds and Lively wanted Wayfair to issue a statement taking the blame for Lively's bad press.
Take Hugh Jackman, for instance. Ryan's so-called bromance buddy, completely distanced. Not a peep of support. That decades-long friendship got real quiet. And let's not forget Taylor Swift, the golden girl of the industry. Her team has been working overtime to make sure her name stays far, far away from Blake's crumbling mess.
There's going to be a lot stronger defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds, because could you imagine the text messages between him and Hugh Jackman as they're putting together all of these scenes? I mean, it's going to get crazy.
Well, she's out here promoting albums, touring, and Blake's lawsuit is the last thing she wants to be attached to. Taylor's already had to dodge the fallout from Blake, trying to leverage their friendship like some backstage pass to manipulate Baldoni. Baldoni's legal team nailed it. They've highlighted exactly how Blake weaponized media connections, PR power, and even her friendships. She played the long game, thinking she could use the industry as her personal shield, but now it's backfiring spectacularly. No PR stunt is going to reverse this level of fallout. Hollywood's figured out she's not worth the headache, and they're moving on.
I mean, they're all going to have to pay for the associated inconveniences, the travel, the lawyers, if Hugh Jackman, anyone getting deposed who's got to make arrangements for it, if they have to get their own lawyers or whatever it is, and here's Ryan, should be looking out for them and not himself.
Which brings us to the pièce de résistance, the inevitable downfall of Blake Lively. Let's run the scoreboard real quick. Her lawyer quit. Couldn't even pretend to defend the nonsense she's been spewing. PR team exhausted, publicly humiliated, probably updating their resumes. The media, completely done. NYT bombshell exploded. No one's sticking up for her. Marriage, hanging by a thread, if it's even still intact. Mental health, her own lawyer exposed profound issues, accidentally showing the world just how messy things have gotten behind closed doors. It's not just Hollywood turning on her, it's the public, the media, the insiders, the court system, all collectively realizing Blake's story doesn't hold water. And every time she tries to make another PR move, it backfires even harder. There's no redemption arc coming, no last-minute plot twist, no carefully crafted social media post is going to rewrite this narrative. Blake's downfall is happening in real time, and she's the only one who hasn't figured it out yet. Every move she makes buries her deeper. The media shield is broken. Her PR team can't spin the facts. Baldoni's case is locked in. backed by mountains of evidence. And Hollywood, they've already moved on. For Blake, it's no longer a question of if she loses. It's when. And judging by how fast the walls are closing in, that moment's coming sooner rather than later. Blake's lawyer dipped because she couldn't defend fiction. The PR team's tricks blew up, and they're now facing legal heat. Media's done with her. Baldoni's sitting pretty with mountains of proof, and the lawsuits are adding up to a casual $650 million nightmare. Blake's running out of moves, fast. And honestly, if your own lawyer and PR team are tapping out, it's safe to say you've officially lost the plot. And with Blake's empire crashing down in flames, hit that subscribe button because this legal drama's just getting started.